So I made my first short film, and after getting some comments and feedback, I decided to make this video showcasing the behind the scenes and how exactly I made it. So I made this film for one of my university media making courses, and it's actually the final project for the whole course, which means it was worth about 30%, so hopefully I did good on that. So in terms of the planning before all the filming, I went ahead and made some storyboards for the film, and as you can see, they're not too detailed. I tried to get like at least each shot I knew I wanted in my head. So in terms of the gear I used, I didn't have access to any like crazy expensive equipment or anything. I just used stuff I had at home. So the camera I have is a Sony a6400. It's an APS-C sensor camera, came out about a couple years ago. And I use only 2 lenses for this whole film. And they are the Sigma 30mm f1.4 and the Sigma 16mm f1.4. Both great for low light, you know, they're both prime lenses, so very sharp. And yeah, it's part of why I think the film looks so good. In terms of stands, I have one tripod, not even like a video tripod, it's a K&F concept. I got it off Amazon for about 40 bucks maybe. So in terms of lighting, I have one small Aperture ALMC, and I have this DIY cake pan light I'm using right now. But besides that, I used only like practical lights I had in my room, like lamps, IKEA lamps, or anything like that I had in the house. It was the main source of light for the film. In terms of sound quality, I used my Deity D3 mic. It's like a mini shotgun mic. It's pretty good. I think it's up to par with some of the Rode mics. And yeah, that's just about all the gear I used. Alright, so jumping into Final Cut Pro here. So this first shot here was actually just a time lapse I took of the street sign by my house. Here's the raw time lapse, what it looks like with no effects. Pretty simple, yeah, so it's 280 photos stitched together. So in terms of the bedroom scene, it was pretty easy to film for the most part. I think the only thing that caught me off guard was making sure the lighting looked consistent throughout the scene, because I did film it over the course of a week or a few days. So I had to, you know, reset up everything, take it down, and it was important that I reset it up in a way that made it look exactly the same as I did the night before. So some people asked about this scene right here with the door opening on its own, and I actually just took some fishing line, tied it to the back of the door, and you can't see it in the film, but the fishing line runs underneath my bed, and I'm actually holding it like in my right hand. And so I'm just pulling the fishing line as the door opens, and I'm just timing it with the way I turn around. And you can see here that in post I actually added in like a digital, like a zoom in, like a slight zoom in, just to add to the creepiness. And transitioning to the kitchen. So a lot of people were asking me about how exactly I managed to play both roles in the film and how to show both of myself at the same time. And you can see right here that it's just a mask effect, like a split screen almost. So it's 2 clips overlapped on each other. And one clip was me outside, you know, ran outside to film. That's me standing outside. And the other clip is just me sitting at the table as if I was looking at something outside. So yeah, you can see here that the mask just goes around the outside person. And that's basically how I achieved that shot. And for the curtain jump scare clip, you can tell it's the same thing. I used a mask over just about half of the whole frame. So I did shoot the clip of me behind the curtain, you know, coming out first. And then I did the other one where we're standing behind. So when you put them together, this is what it looks like. You can tell. So I use keyframes to move the mask. That way it doesn't, you know, just cut into me. And you can see right about here is where the jump scare is. Right there. This one was a little bit hard to sell the effect because I had to keyframe it pretty well so it wasn't noticeable. But I think it turned out pretty good. I'm happy with that, yeah. So in terms of the last shot in the whole film, this car scene, it's actually, the car isn't actually moving in this shot. I filmed this all in my driveway. And I used the same masking effect to first film myself in the driver's seat and then myself in the back seat and put them together as one. And what I also did to sell the effect was I filmed a clip of just the outside. I was riding on my bike, like down the street, and I got a shot of the houses here, as you can see, just going by. And I sped that clip up. Put it on top of this clip of me in the car, but just masked out the window. That way it looked like a reflection in the window. And yeah, on top of the entire clip, I added just a little bit of a digital shake. That way it would look like, you know, the car's moving. It'd be a bit bumpy. One of the things I did to improve the quality of my video footage was shoot the whole film in a log picture profile. Basically what that does is shoot the footage with flat colors and low contrast, that way it retains the most possible data and allows for more flexibility when tweaking in post-processing. As you can see here, this is the footage straight out of camera. And here it is with the added contrast and saturation. I didn't do any extensive color grading on the footage, just some basic color correction, as you can see here. Overall, it helps to create more dynamic range and deliver a more professional looking image. In terms of sound design, you can tell it wasn't too intense. I tried to record most of the sounds at home, but you know, there's also some of them I got from Epidemic Sound online. They got a good library in terms of sound effects and stuff. You can see here like all these car sounds in this first shot, all from online, all from Epidemic Sound. There are definitely some sounds I think could have been better, like the ones of me in the kitchen right here. I think those could have been more realistic. The door squeaking was actually a combination of like 4 different door sounds, as you can see here. There's like the creak. It's like a few different sounds, and I still think the door sound could have been better overall, honestly. But yeah, like the dog barking sound was also from online. And yeah, whatever I could record at home, I recorded at home. The only problem was the fact that I don't have a quiet household. So like, yeah, it was hard to find like a nice quiet space to record all these sounds. I also think that it's cool how the film, being about a haunted road, starts and ends on the road itself. I think it shows a story coming full circle. One of the main problems I encountered when shooting this film was the fact that I could only film between the hours of 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. Now, the main reason for that was because of my loud family. The only time I could get the empty space and the peace and quiet to film was while they were all sleeping, so I filmed most of this at night. Also because the film takes place at night and it needed to be dark outside, so that's also why. I did reshoot most of the film, if not every single shot, maybe once or twice, because I saw a mistake either in continuity or in lighting or something, so that took up a majority of the time, trying to make sure every shot looked similar to one another. And one of the last things I wanted to mention was the motivation for the look of this film. I think that it was everything else besides the camera that actually motivated the look for this film. And I didn't want to be limited by my camera in terms of how good or bad each shot could be. I also wanted to emphasize the importance of utilizing your environment and what you have. I think it all comes down to what exactly you place in front of the camera, and not just what, but how you place it in front of the camera. I also wanted to include as much depth as I could within each shot. Placing things in the foreground and the background, just to help make the film feel more like it wasn't shot on a cheaper camera. Overall, I think it turned out pretty good for it being my first short film. There's definitely a few things here and there I can criticize and critique, but I think that's pretty normal considering the fact that it's never going to be perfect when making films like this. And I think it's more important that I focus on the mistakes and learning from my mistakes. That way I can make better films in the future. And yeah, that's about it for this video, so hopefully you like the short film and this behind the scenes content. If you have any more ideas, drop them down below. I'll have a look, since I want to make more films in the future. And if you like this type of content, stick around, subscribe. I'm definitely going to post more soon. And that's about it. Yeah, thanks for watching.